What's up, everybody? About a week ago, we got Season 4 of Warzone Pacific and Vanguard, and as usual, some guns were buffed, some were nerfed, some were changed in both directions, and so it's time to do another top 10 loadouts. I'm not going to waste your time. We're going to go ahead and jump right into the 10 loadouts. Okay, and as usual, we're going to start with our comeback loadout. I used to do LMGs always, just so if you had to grab that loadout and get right into a fight, you'd have a big mag, but it's just undeniable that the NZ is what everyone's using, and it's probably the best comeback option right now. It's going to be mostly a normal NZ build. We have an MX Silencer, which we know is our long-range muzzle of choice. The Orb Weaver, which now gives you 40% more bullet velocity, as well as the recoil control. So you don't want to use the burst any longer. You don't get as much bullet velocity, and you have to toggle from burst to full auto every time you pick up the gun, every time you grab your loadout. Hand stop as usual. I know a lot of people are using strife angled grip to give you more horizontal recoil control, but this thing has like no recoil anyways, and I'd rather not hurt my hipfire like the strike, or not my hipfire, rather not hurt my ADS like the strife angled does. And then 50 round mag as usual, lengthened ammo, your choice of optic. You want to use the LOR MK3 SC stock. It gives you recoil control when mounted, crouched and prone, as well as during sustained fire. A lot of people like to use the E-Pack, but I think it actually gives you a little bit less recoil control. Plus, it hurts ADS speed and sprint to fire speed. They both hurt movement speed, but the MK3 SC only hurts movement speed. Polymer grip. I know there's been a lot of changes. I know people have used polymer grip. People are using pine tar, stippled, hatched, but I still think polymer grip is my favorite. And then acrobatic, as far as I know, brace still doesn't quite work, and there's nothing else to really use besides acrobatic. And normally we would go on hand for the faster ADS speed, but we go fully loaded because this is our comeback class. And then we still have the singular in 1911. There's a few options, but you want to make sure you have fully loaded, so this is the best option still in my mind. You could go the Sidekov, like we used to. 1929 silencer, Cooper full auto, slate reflector, hair trigger, 24 round mags, lengthened, fabric grip, fleet, and fully loaded. It's the same that it's been. Quick fix, restock, combat scout, Semtex, thermite, whatever. Perks, lethal, tactical, up to you as well, as usual. Sniper, sniping is viable again. Normally I've had the ZRG. I guess it's been viable. Normally I had the ZRG, but I am putting the 3-line rifle. The 3-line rifle now with this build has the highest bullet velocity of any snipers. Plus has the one-shot headshot, plus has a 20-round mag. The Mercury Silencer is the muzzle we're going to go with over the MX Silencer because we don't really need a whole lot of damage range added when this has unlimited damage range for one-shot headshot. And the Mercury Silencer gives us bullet velocity, whereas the MX Silencer does not. Then I go with the 820 millimeter barrel to give you the maximum bullet velocity. I know some people like to use this 700, the Kalifskaya 700 millimeter, because it gives you more bullet velocity, but also gives you better neck damage. And some people like to use even the other 700 because of the reduced gun sway, and you get an increased movement speed. But I prefer the 820 millimeter barrel. Give me the highest bullet velocity. Here you go with the 3 to 6 times. I'd either go with the 3 to 6 or the 4 to 8. It does give you still good magnification while helping your ADS, despite what the weapon description says. It does help the ADS. Then we go with the SO1 stock for aiming stability and flinch resistance. There's other stocks. There's the Empress Markman, but that doesn't give you the stability. The Zach Custom as well doesn't give you stability. MN Custom gives you flinch resistance and stability. So you either go with the MN Custom or the SO1 just for preference. But even though you lose sprint to fire, the SO1 does seem to feel a little better to me. And then the weighted stock doesn't help what we're looking for either. Obviously, you're going to go 20 round mag. It also gives you damage range and damage increase and bullet velocity, whereas the other ones don't do that, and you get 20 rounds. Lengthen for that bullet velocity. Tape grip gives you the best aiming stability, plus it gives you movement speed, weapon swap quickness, which is important, especially because we're pairing this with an AR. And sprint to fire speed. Silent focus gives you even more aiming stability. You could also run shrouded, but I'd rather have the aiming stability while I'm sniping. And then on hand, since we're using the 3 to 6 times or the 4 to 8 times, you don't get the breath hold. So you want to run on hand for that faster ADS speed. Here I have this paired with the Nikita, the wrong optic on it. The KG build also works in here with the rapid barrel, the recoil booster. That also works here, but I like the Nikita right now, and it did recently get a buff. So you want to use the recoil booster for the fire rate, just like you would with an SMG. Here you want to use the sniper barrel. It gives you the best bullet velocity and damage range, while also helping with recoil control. The other option is the 613, but the sprint to fire speed, the aim, walk, and move speed gets hurt, where it doesn't with the sniper, and the sniper gives you better velocity and range. I still like the hand stop, 50 round mag, lengthen, slate reflector. The stock's kind of iffy. The Zac padded I use for movement speed, sprint to fire speed, aim, walking, move speed, and aim down sight speed, because you are competing with SMGs. If you struggle with the recoil a little bit, you can go with the Empress Notch, but it hurts your movement speed, sprint to fire speed, and ADS speed, which is bad when you're going up against SMGs. If you don't mind the recoil at all, you could go with the folding stock. It helps your movement speed, sprint to fire speed, sprint speed, and ADS speed. So I'd either go with the folding stock or the Zac padded. Polymer is still my go-to. You can run fabric or taped if you're feeling okay with the recoil. But the Nikita still has a little bit of recoil, so I do like to just go with polymer. Brace for that initial firing recoil to counter against the Zac padded, which hurts your initial firing recoil, so I go with brace. Sleight of hand's not a bad option. Neither is perfectionist, and neither is fleet. And then on hand for that faster ADS speed to compete with SMGs. LMGs, DP is still greatly slept on. It's the same build it has been, though. The MX silencer, the 680mm barrel, your choice of optic, Empress VZV stock, hand stop, 105 round pans, lengthened, polymer grip, hard scope, although fleet's not a bad option with an LMG. Spotter's not bad either. And sleight of hand's another good option with an LMG. And then on hand for the ADS speed again. I have that paired right now with the well gun. The well gun's still very good. It got touched a little bit, got a little bit better, but it's still not top tier like it was, and it's still the same build that it's been. The recoil booster, short barrel, slate reflector, remove stock, hand stop, Granco 40 round mags, lengthened, taped grip is the only difference now because of that movement speed buff. It's not broken like it was at the beginning of the season, but it's still very good. Gung Ho for the instant sprint to fire, although momentum, acrobat, and fleet aren't bad options either, and neither is frenzy, and then quick again. Another LMG. So the next two LMGs are the same LMG, but with different builds. This is the burst barrel build. I have this one slot below, even though these aren't necessarily numerical rankings, just because I'm not a fan of burst weapons, but the burst gun version is very broken right now. MX silencer like usual. This Remuald 560 is your burst barrel, plus it gives you unlimited damage range and increases your damage. Hand stop or strife angled works. Even the Mark 6 skeletal, since it's just in bursts, but the hand stop seems to work best for me. 125 round mag. Lengthened, your choice of optic. Pine tar grip is actually not correct. I still like the polymer. I believe there's an initial firing recoil. Yeah. Stippled's probably the best option because it's initial firing, and since it's just burst, we're more worried about initial firing recoil. And then the stock is between the TAC YR and the Forte 7. The TAC YR and the Forte 7 both help with your initial firing recoil. But the TAC YR helps with aim walking steadiness and aim walking move speed, whereas the Forte hurts your hip fires, which is important. It helps your ADS speed, but I'm not as worried about sprint to fire speed and hip fire accuracy. So I would rather get the aim walking move speed and aim walking steadiness so I can ADS and move a little bit better while using this. Plus, we need the initial firing recoil. Brace is the option for initial firing recoil. Not worried about tight grip. Surveil is another decent option. And then on hand, once again, for the ADS speed. Then just for fun, I paired this with the Sten. The Sten's not super crazy time to kill wise, but the Sten is the fastest moving SMG in the game, so I think that makes it the fastest moving gun in the game. With this barrel, you're going to use the recoil booster as usual. The short barrel, just to help with the ADS speed, the aim, walking, move speed, and the sprint to fire speed. The rapid barrel is an okay option, but it doesn't give you as much movement with the aim, walking, move speed. Here I have the SG98 compact for the aim, walking, move speed again. Otherwise, I'd probably go with the Mark 6 skeletal or the hand stop, just depending on how you feel about it. Strife angle is another good option, but we're just going for max movement here. And then 36 round mag gives you movement speed increase as well as the fire rate, so that's your better time to kill option. Lengthened, but subsonic's another good option on all your SMGs. Your choice of optic. Taped grip once again because we're getting that movement speed. The Gaiwan Para or the Wire are really your two options, but I'd rather have the increased sprint to fire speed and movement speed, and not lose the recoil control. Initial recoil penalty is not that bad. Acrobatic for movement speed and sprint to fire speed. Otherwise, run Gung Ho for firing while sprinting, and then quick for the sprint speed. This is right now the fastest gun in the game. And the perks, lethal, tactical, just like all these loadouts, are up to you. Then we have the auto version of this LMG, and not the burst version. We have the MX silencer. The 736mm barrel is the best barrel if you're not running the burst. Gives you recoil control, bullet velocity, and reduced sway. We're not that worried with an LMG about losing ADS, movement speed, and sprint fire speed because you're probably not pushing with this in your hands. Hand stop or the strife angle. The vertical's not too bad on this gun, so definitely not Carver. But I still like the hand stop. I know a lot of people are moving to strife angled, but I still prefer the hand stop. 125 round mag, lengthened ammo. Your choice of optic. Like I said, I still really like polymer. Polymer is still my favorite, especially on an automatic gun when we have sustained fire. And then this time the stock is going to be the Mercier WT stock, just because you get accuracy and recoil during sustained fire, which you don't get with anything else. You get the initial fire and recoil for the next two, and then remove stock is going to hurt your recoil control. Tight grip for that recoil control. Not as worried about brace because we're going to be holding down the trigger on this one and not bursting. So either go tight grip or surveil, but I prefer tight grip because this thing does bounce a little bit. Gung Ho, once again, you're probably not pushing with this. And then on hand for the ADS speed. Here we have that with the Type 63, which got us, Type 63, Type 100, excuse me, which did get a small nerf, but still kills really fast, still has good range. It's the same build it has been with the recoil booster, rapid barrel, hand stop, 30 caliber, Russian short, 36 round mag, lengthened, slate reflector, taped grip, skeletal stock, gung ho, and quick. Your choice of perks, lethal, and tactical. And then we're going to get into 5 ARs. The STG was questionable to put on this list. I thought about replacing it with the Farah, potentially. The Farah's kind of slept on still and in a really good spot. But I'm still getting killed by the STG a lot, so I figured I should throw it on this list. It still has like no recoil, still has a decent time to kill despite it's what seemed like a fairly significant nerf. It's still a viable weapon and definitely competitive, but you could put the Farah in this slot as well. It's the same build it has been, MX silencer, 760mm barrel, your choice of optic, weighted stock, hand stop, 50 round mags, lengthened, polymer grip. Acrobatic or sleight of hand. I don't think vital really increases your time to kill enough to be worth it. And then on hand. Then we have that with the same short barrel MP40, which I still love. Still one of my favorite SMG builds, right? For like 2 seasons now. With the recoil booster, the short barrel, slate reflector, folding stock, hand stop, 7.62 rounds, lengthened ammo. The only change, like on all these SMGs, has been running the taped grip, momentum, and quick. There's not really a great perk 1 still. Perfectionist is okay. But other than that, there's nothing I'd really run. Maybe unmarked. And then it's always quick when that's available on SMGs. Next AR is the Vargo. Spoiler alert, it's the only non-Vanguard weapon in the primary slot on this list, unfortunately. And the only one in the secondary slots as well. Yeah, everything is Vanguard on this list pretty much now. And the Vargo, this Ferro Fluid Blueprint is the meta. I didn't change any of these attachments, but it's the same as Cold War builds have always been. Goose Suppressor, Task Force, Axial Arms. 60 round, you can go with the 45 round mag to not hurt your ADS at all, but I like the 15 extra bullets, and Spetsnaz grip. This is how the blueprint comes. And then I have that paired with the Armawera. With the recoil booster, I still run the 315 millimeter barrel, but otherwise run the 570 precision. With the strife angled, because I do think it does bounce a lot left to right, so the strife angled does take the place of the hand stop. Plus, it's an SMG, so I'm not worried about that ADS speed. Your choice of optic, I still run the folding stock, but if you don't like the recoil, the body DA is still a really good option. Taped grip, but once again, polymer grip if you're having trouble with the recoil on this. But I'm moving all my SMGs to taped. 60 round mag. Still, I don't like the 72 because that does start to give me too much recoil and not a whole lot faster time to kill. Lengthened or subsonic. Hard scope for the recoil control. Once again, I don't think Vital's worth it, especially because it hurts your recoil. And then quick, just like every SMG. Next at number 3, we have the KGM40. It did get a fairly significant buff. And I'm probably going to make an individual video talking more about the KGM40. But this is definitely a gun I would make sure you have leveled up, because if the NZ inevitably gets buffed, I think this is what you're going to see most people move to. And we haven't gone over this build since the gun came out, but it's the same build since the gun came out, but I'll go over it since it's been a while. MX silencer like usual. You want to go with the 720mm shrouded barrel. The 700 gives you recoil control, but you get more recoil control with the 720. Plus you get more bullet velocity. You can go with the damage range increase on the 700mm barrel, but you get more recoil control and more bullet velocity with the shrouded. You don't get the bullet velocity with the 700mm barrel, and I would take the bullet velocity over the damage range because this is an AR, and I don't want to have to lead people as much, where the damage range is still going to be pretty good, but it's either one of these barrels depending on preference. And then the 3-6 times, or whatever your choice of optic is. The padded stock gives you recoil control and recoil recovery, so it gives you the best recoil control. The Krausnik's an okay option, but it's really between these two. And the movement speed is nice on the padded stock, the increase in movement speed. And then 8mm 60 round drum. You don't want to. You get less bullet velocity and damage on the 40 round mag, and the 30-06 60 round drum gives you a lot of, especially visual recoil, but does give you more recoil. Lengthened, polymer, tight grip. You can go acrobatic, and you could go sleight of hand. This thing doesn't have a lot of recoil, like any at all, so it definitely opens it up. You could run vital if you wanted over tight grip, but I like this thing to be absolutely no recoil at all. And then on hand, once again, like all long range. Then we have that with the Blixen. This is only at number 3 because the other SMG is going to have 2 builds. The Blixen still, for non-akimbo SMGs, does still kill slightly the fastest, but I think it's got a little more recoil than the next SMG in the next 2 loadouts. And the build I run is the recoil booster. No longer the Johnson 9-inch barrel, but the Bergstrom 17-inch just gives you the best recoil control. The strife angled, because like the armor wearer, I do think this thing bounces a little bit left to right. Otherwise, run the hand stop. Your choice of optic. I still like the remove stock. If you find it's a little too bouncy, it got a little too much recoil, go with the CR10 stock. We're not as worried about aim down sight speed, sprint to fire speed, because it is an SMG, and it does give you the most amount of recoil control overall. 7.62 54 round mags. It's usually you go with the 7.62 on the SMGs. You can go with the 9mm 72 round. I think those are 2 options, but I'm just minimizing recoil by going with the 54 round mag, but either one works. Then lengthened or subsonic. Taped grip once again for the movement speed, but if you're struggling with the recoil, switch to polymer. Taped grip is the way to go for me now. And then fleet, you could go with perfectionist for the recoil control, but I like the movement speed increase, and I don't think there's anything else really worth using on there. And then quick, like all SMGs. Then number 2 is the BAR. The BAR I have mixed feelings for. On Fortune's Keep and Rebirth, it's probably number 1 for me. But the slow rate of fire does hurt when you're in longer range engagements, because it's less forgiving, and if you miss a bunch of shots because of the slow rate of fire, it's harder to recover, and people are going to get into cover. But it's the same build it's always been. MX silencer, 30-inch barrel, your choice of optic, Chariot WR, hand stop, Clouser, 40 round mag, lengthened, polymer grip, hard scope, and on hand. This thing has like no recoil still, even though they gave it a little more recoil, but they greatly increased the bullet velocity and they increased the neck multiplier by a significant amount as well. So the time to kill is a little bit faster. It does have a little bit of recoil, but still is like no recoil at all. And here we have the Marco 5. We have the singular non-akimbo build here. It's the same as what was in my video on the Marco 5, which I'll go ahead and link down below. I'll go ahead and link my UGM video down below as well. That's not for the burst because that was before the burst was discovered, but I'll link both of those videos down below for you if you want to see me go more in depth about the Marco 5 and the non-burst version of the UGM 8. We're going to run the recoil booster here. We're going to run the 342mm barrel. There's other barrels that seem like they are good, but this gives you the most amount of recoil control, plus increases your bullet velocity. Whereas like the 355 Hz bullet velocity and recoil control, which is the exact opposite. The body 240 increases your fire rate, but hurts your bullet velocity, range, and recoil control. But it's a decent option to use, and it's probably the one I would use if I didn't use the 342. Never want to convert to burst on an SMG, unless it's a full auto toggle and there's something broken about the stats, but there's not on this. And then hip fire, well, we're not going to use the hip fire on the singular gun. So either go with the fire rate barrel if you feel like you can really control it, but I just think it's a nice happy medium with the 342mm barrel. Either hand stop or strife angled, or SG98 compact for the aim walking move speed, but I still prefer the hand stop. 48 round drums. The big thing with the mags is it doesn't really increase your time to kill, it just changes where your damage drop off is. But when you go with the 8mm, you lose aim down sight speed, you lose bullet velocity, you lose bullet penetration and movement speed. Whereas when you go with the 9mm, yeah, you have 16 less rounds, but you only hurt reload quickness, and 48 is still enough ammo. Lengthened or subsonic, taped grip once again. The Perfetto Esada stock gives you the best recoil control, gives you faster ADS speed and aiming stability. Not going to use the folding. The folding's an okay option, but you lose recoil control during sustained fire. And same thing with the Amaretto, you lose that sustained fire recoil control. But you do get increased movement speed and aim down sight speed. So really all of them work, but I find the Perfetto Esada to be the perfect happy medium for me. Gung Ho always on SMGs that have it because you get that instant sprint to fire speed with no delay. But Frenzy is not a bad option, and Kimbo we're going to get to, and Momentum's not a bad option either. Just you can't ignore the instant sprint to fire speed. And then Quick. Just a note, to me personally, I feel like when you have the hand stop and you have the Amaretto 342mm barrel and the Perfetto Esada stock, you have like zero recoil. I don't think this gun moves up or down. I don't think it bounces left to right. I think this is a perfect build with no recoil. Extremely competitive and almost inline time to kill with the Blixen, and it's really my favorite SMG right now, more than the Akimbo version. Speaking of the Akimbo version, we have the NZ. It's the exact same build you saw in my comeback loadout, except instead of fully loaded, we have on hand. But otherwise, it's the exact same build, so I'm not going to really go over that again. And then you have that paired with the Akimbo Marco 5, with the big difference here being that we have the hipfire barrel, the 285 custom barrel. There is no underbarrel with Akimbo. We switched to the 8mm 64 round drums because bullet velocity, bullet penetration doesn't matter when you have to almost barrel stuff, which you have to with hipfire, so you can't really control the accuracy. You can lay down with this gun and the crosshairs really tighten up, but that's only for drop shotting or if you want to be a rat. And then there's no point in running a hipfire build when you want to be a rat. And then hollow point, because we're not worried about the damage range when you have to barrel stuff, and it will give you better time to kill. Bullet velocity is not really important when you got to get as close as you do to use this. Subsonic's also a decent option. Here we go, Pine Tar Grip, because it gives you the best hipfire accuracy. We just throw on either the 4-8 or any of the long range ones, really, just for that little bit of extra accuracy, and we're not worried about ADS speed. The HF folding, because that is the hipfire accuracy barrel, stock, and we're not worried about accuracy during the hipfire recoil control during hipfire, since you can't ADS. Akimbo, obviously, and then Quick. And that's the hipfire build. I personally prefer the single gun, but the hipfire build has an absolutely broken TTK, way faster than any SMGs because you're firing two SMGs. But that wraps up our 10 loadouts for Season 4. We're going to do a long-range and a short-range video coming up. We're obviously, after the Season 3 Reloaded, we'll revisit the 10 loadouts. So keep an eye out for all that. But that all being said, please don't forget to like, comment, subscribe. Hit that notification bell so you know when I upload that long-range video, that short-range video. If I'm probably going to make that KG video, so when I upload videos, you'll know right away. And let me know down below what you think of my 10 loadouts. Am I wrong? Am I right? What should I change in my builds? What attachments am I missing? Am I the smartest guy in the world? Dumbest guy in the world? Let me know down below. And like I said, I will link my Marco and my UGM videos in the description below. As well as I will have all my social medias. I'm planning on finally starting up Twitch streaming again sometime in July. That's down below. I post almost daily on TikTok and Instagram, and those are down below. So feel free to check all those out, as well as my Twitter. But I will see you on Rebirth Island coming back tomorrow. Caldera, which I have liked a lot more, and Fortune's Keep. Get frying. Have a good day. Bye.